Welcome to Accelerate Your Dental Practice, the show for dental professionals ready to grow smarter, faster, and stronger. Hosted by Michelle Affinato of Affinity Management Consulting and Malika Azargun of Czar Dental Consulting. Each episode delivers practical strategies and expert advice to help you streamline operations, increase profitability, and reduce stress. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Accelerate Your Dental Practice. I am sad that Malika couldn't be with me today, but I am joined by 6 of the most amazing women in the industry today. So I'm really excited for this panel of guests that I have. We have Amanda DeMoura of One Wild Brand. We have Beverly Wilburn from Dr. Karl Smith's office and D-Sibs and all kinds of crazy things out there. We've got Kate Reed from EverThrive Oral Surgery Consulting. We have Lynne Leggett from Victory Dental Management. We have Teresa Duncan of Odyssey Management, Dental Revenue Network, and the upcoming Practice Management Power Day. And we have Angela Davis Sullivan of Adaptive Dental Solutions. So say hi.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so excited for this episode because these are my girls. These are my ladies. So we've been talking about a lot of things, and we thought getting all of us together in one episode would be some great information for you. And what we want to talk about today is, but not the KPIs you guys are always hearing about, that you can look at a dental intel dashboard or a practice by numbers dashboard. These are our KPIs or metrics that nobody is really tracking, or maybe you are tracking, but you're not really sure what to do with it. So I'm going to kick it off. And the first one that I track, and I think that even some of the people on this were surprised that I have my clients track this, is missed calls. So it's really important that we're answering all the calls, right? Whether they're coming in from patients or referring offices, just the calls, we're answering the phone. And I know a lot of offices have a practice in place in which they will return all voicemails that are left, which is great. You should be doing that. And if you're not, you better think about doing that. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I do know that there are some phone systems in there that, like, if there's a missed call, a text automatically gets sent out to the patient saying, like, we're sorry you missed your call. Like, you can respond to this text or whatever. But you should be calling back the missed calls, because you don't know. Some people just don't like to leave voicemails. I don't like to leave voicemails. And so many times I've gotten a call back from someone. I'm like, I'm so glad you called me because I was about to call somebody else. Yep. So that is one thing that I think a lot of people aren't tracking or don't have a system for. So I think that is a very important thing to track.
I would agree with you, Michelle, wholeheartedly on that. I work specifically with oral surgeons. And so the statistics are, if there's a patient that's looking for a service, so an oral surgery service, usually they're Googling, they will call the practice. And if the practice either does not answer or does not return their message within 2 to 5 minutes, then they just call the next practice that they find in their Google search. So being able to have some sort of way to track inbound calls, and then if they are missed, then having somebody assigned to get back to them immediately through a text message or an automated return phone call, something like that, can help really recoup some of those lost leads.
I better just tell you all about myself right now, because Michelle, as we were planning to have this little thing, I started going in my back end and running some numbers, and my practice is so amazing and so great. And I'm only at past 90 days, 72% answered. I just pulled the number, and I was like, I don't really look at it. I don't count it. And, we feel like we're doing good because the new patient numbers are flowing in and all those things are doing good. 72%, that's terrible. That's terrible.
You said it. I didn't want to say it. I mean, imagine how much busier you would be. Not that you could necessarily handle it, but could make a difference.
All hours, you know what I mean? So I think it's counting some like after hours, but still, I mean, it's still a miss.
After hours is huge though. Like, how many people don't have the time to call 9 to 5? And so, I mean, we have to follow up. I mean, some of us travel a lot on here on this podcast. Like, sometimes I make a call knowing that it's going to go to voicemail to a company I just don't have the time to call them during the day. So yeah, I think that's super important in the after hours.
I think it has to be part of your training. I think team members think, oh, they didn't leave a message, so I don't have to do anything. And that's the mindset they've got to change. Like, no, they didn't know what to say. They weren't sure if it was worth it. So we have to be able to turn around and reach back out to them and say, hey, I missed your call. How can I help you?
Yeah,
Which
returning
I'm hearing
voice.
from you. Oh, sorry, Amanda.
I was gonna say returning voicemails non-negotiable.
Yeah.
But taking it a step further, so at my practice, when we return from lunch at 2:00, we're looking back at who called during lunch hour. Did they leave a message? Did they not? And we're returning the phone calls that did not leave a message. And I think patients are always a little bit surprised by that. And it's kind of making you just stand out as an awesome practice, right?
So I think what I was surprised by when we were talking earlier is, so you were saying like you get a text. I'm hoping, and you all are saying that they're making the calls, your clients are making the calls. Like I would hope that the office wouldn't just think that text that goes out because of the missed call is it. Like it's over and above and beyond that. So I think what I was hearing you all say is just because a text went out doesn't mean that you've made contact. Is that in place for your clients to not just the text, but the call? Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, that text is nice. It lets the patient feel like, oh, they recognize me or know that I missed it. But if that's the only thing you get, if I'm the consumer, I'm like, well, that was dumb. That wasn't a real person. Like, where's the relationship in that? So yeah, as soon as I'm available, as soon as that team member's available, I'm calling them back.
But
Because it really doesn't count until you actually connect with the person, right? I mean, just because you did it one way, the communication needs to take place on both sides. So until you reach that person, it doesn't count.
So that's a good way of putting it, Michelle. Unless you reach them, it doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Exactly. And since we're talking about phone calls, I want to talk a little bit about, like, are we tracking the actual conversion from a phone call, somebody speaking, to getting an appointment scheduled?
So I think this is so important because our practices spend so much money on marketing. And really, the marketing efforts are just to get the patient to call the office.
Yeah.
But if the call itself is not getting converted to an actual appointment, then that really begs the question, why? I was working with the practice not too long ago that I had the opportunity to listen to their inbound phone calls through a recording software. And I was absolutely appalled at the things that I was hearing. Not only did it seem like the person at the front desk was just angry with life and angry with their job, they were completely giving wrong information to the patients. And it's like, okay, so no wonder the conversion rate is so low. But meanwhile, the practice was spending a boatload of money on marketing, thinking all I have to do is just get the patients to call the office and then we can take it from there. But that was not actually the case with that group. So we went back and did quite a bit of patient experience training and focused on phone call conversions. And then we started to move the needle. So Michelle, I think you're nailing it. It's not only just getting the patients to call the office, but how the team handles it once they pick up the phone is also really crucial.
Yeah, make the appointment and then show up for the appointment.
Yeah.
So I love looking at that. Like, we scheduled from these phone calls 15 people, and of those 15, this is how many actually walked through our door and met us. And sometimes it surprises the doctor, the team, all of them, like, what do you mean only 4 came? Only 4 came. So where's that gap now? What do we need to do to close that gap?
Yeah.
Why they say yes to an appointment and not show up?
That's also another number that a lot of people don't know is what is it costing you to acquire that new patient?
Yeah.
To make the phone
That's
ring.
something that they should know. Like, what is it costing you to acquire that new patient? We figured it out once. It's been a few years, and I want to say it was like $200 and some really per new patient. And so you just do a little exercise, give them some Monopoly money, and be like, every time the phone rings, and then we'll answer. Here's 200.
That would be fun.
Here's 200. Here's 200. And see how fast.
Yeah.
Oh.
That would be super fun. Actually,
following up on Kate, though, talking about how they spend a lot of money, and then this ties in perfectly with yours, Beverly. Like, one of the issues I run into is the bad data. So we're spending a lot of money on marketing, but if we don't actually track where that person's coming from, and that was one thing that always amazed me, is nobody was using like the referral sources, nobody was writing it down. It was always in the paperwork, but it was never tracked. And so I used to say, like, if you are spending all this money on marketing, it doesn't matter. You might as well just open up the window and toss it out, because you don't know how it's coming back in. You don't know what the return is if you're tracking it. It could be the office down the street, the one office down the street that's sending you everybody, not the money you're spending on like billboards and radio and all that. So we've got to know. And I don't know if I agree with this because the numbers kind of are not the same. But when I was a young office manager coming up and taking classes, pretty much what I was told in classes was the cost of the new patient appointment should be about equal to how much it costs you to get a patient in. Like thought was your break even, right? But our costs have gone up. I mean, all over. But for offices that are under contract like that, hasn't, like, we might be actually spending more in addition to being in network. You know what I mean? Like,
so we have a new patient special. Our new patient special is $229 for, patients who aren't insured or underinsured. And that's kind of how we set it. So I think that must be what we figured out the amount was, because I think we set it on what was it was like, this is what we're going to charge for our special, because that's what it's costing us to acquire the average patient. So
yeah.
Yeah, Teresa, you brought up that good point in training the teams to take the time. You're right. It's on the paperwork. How did you hear about us? And if they never put it in the software, then we're not actually tracking. Was it from the billboard? Was it from the guy down the street? Is it from patients? Is it from our mail or whatever we've got out there? They don't know. It's part of the team training. All that information matters and it counts, and we got to track it.
Yeah, make that a mandatory response field for them to fill out.
And I'm a stickler for that. If I see you had not 50 new patients, then you better have 50 referral sources in there. That's how I feel. And like, I don't care if it's a husband and wife, like they still came in through that channel. So like you have to track that, because if they didn't see that, then they wouldn't be there. So
in specialty,
very important.
Kate might agree with this too, though. In specialty, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging, right? Because I feel like the referral source might be that paper that the doctor gave them, but how many we see, I would say 20 of them that come in with a paper might be to another doctor. So for us, I'm like, and then the team just wants to put in that referral source of like what's on the paper. And I'm like, but that's not how they found us. They didn't find us there. They had that paper, but that isn't where they found us. They found us because Aetna or whoever said, to come to us or whatever it is, or, they're their neighbors at church or something. So it's also just having a few questions just to really get to where the source is.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. We find that it's the tides are shifting a little bit right now. And yes, the referrals are sending patients over, but we're also seeing quite a few referrals come in from Google and ZocDoc and just other patients that have had good experiences. So I think tracking wherever it's coming from is really important across the board.
People get more defiant as time goes on too. They're like, I'm not going where that person sent me.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
So it's just true. Defiance of the consumer.
I've had clients sit there and they go, internet. I'm like, okay, where on the internet? Can we be more specific? So it's like you get extra points the more specific you are. And it's amazing when the doctor and having to explain, you really need to be as specific as possible, because it makes a big difference depending on where your marketing spend is as to your ROI and what you're actually tracking, and to understand the why, because we all know what it's like to be at the front and to have 7 things happening at one time. But it really does make a difference when you're trying to get your numbers and understand where do you want to allocate those funds and what do you want to spend money on. It really does make a difference, and all the team members need to understand that.
What's been changing with search lately? Rita Zamora, we all know Rita, social media and AI and all that. And she's recommending now, not just Google search or, search engine optimization. Well, it's going to be Google search, but is AI search, like actually making that a field on your forms. Yep. So, because people like, it could be just internet, but if they're coming in specifically from AI, that could be, maybe that's just how
specifically say to me. So we actually just talked with our marketing company about adding on some AI search services, because now this is going to be things that your marketing companies are going to have. And if they don't, you should be talking to them about it already. I've had 3 this month. They're like, I asked ChatGPT.
We'll just use that now in place of Google. Also, when you are on Google, you're seeing the AI summary at the top, which is pulling from the same places. So that's
there are people actually going into like chat and Perplexity and looking. And so that's what I mean. Like, so the summary on Google, I could see somebody putting that in, but I just I'm amazed that we're at this point now where it used to be just insurance, community, surgeon, whatever. And now it's like 50 different fields, that because you've got to be as specific as possible or you can't make good decisions about where your marketing dollars go. So we have to be really stay on top of all of that. That's awesome, Beverly. Three AI
That's
solutions.
pretty cool.
Pretty good.
And then Beverly, did you ask them which AI tool they were using?
Now we're going to sublets.
No,
Sure.
None of them was like, I asked ChatGPT. I mean, they said that directly, you know what I mean? So, and I think there was two that said ChatGPT, and the other one was like, I just asked Siri or, something. So, I mean, it's like, but Siri's our original AI, right? Like it's
Right.
it. So, but they might have said Siri when they were asked, but when it's on their form, like, how did you find us? It's like AI.
I don't want to get too granular because we could go off on like a whole thing about that. But the good thing about ChatGPT is it will often ask questions back to the patient, right? Like, okay, in what location are you looking for a periodontist? Are you looking for this, or this? And what information are you putting out there on the internet that it's going to read those things and recommend your practice to potential patients? So Beverly already being ahead of it, talking to her marketing company about it is exactly what every other office should be doing too, if this is on their radar at all.
Yeah. Well, folks, guess what? Amanda is going to join Malika and I, and we're going to do an episode all about it. How's that, Amanda? Thanks for volunteering.
I want to hear more about what Beverly's, you can tell me off air, but what your marketing company is going to do. Just curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I mean, I definitely know they want to charge more.
Yeah.
I can give you a little bit of like what Rita was saying.
Very small.
It's a matter of changing your website copy. And Amanda, you already do this with some of the websites I've seen you do. Like you get very descriptive, like probably pain-free, convenient, easy to use, Aetna. Like the copy has to integrate that all in. And if you're marketing to, like, remember how we used to see these old ads in the yellow pages for those of us that are my age, like we cater to cowards, that kind of thing. Like, do search for painless dentist, good reviews, and they put that in there. I'm not surprised at all this chat GPT because look how many people actually have relationships with their chat, like long relationships, that's their confidant, therapist, whatever.
Yes.
So if I'm going to look for something and I know they've got that resource, like, why not? Like, that's amazing, right?
FAQs are huge. So don't just have one section of FAQs on your website, have that on multiple pages so that those general questions that patients, do you take my insurance? Do you offer sedation? Whatever it is. So, okay, sorry.
So back to new patients, right? I feel like, okay, let's say that we actually answered the phone and we actually got them scheduled, right? Are we tracking, like, were they a new patient and they just came in for their recare? Or what is your new patient case acceptance percentage? Because you tend to have a better relationship, obviously, with the patients that have been coming back for you, like every 6 months, for years and years. But this was your first impression. With a new patient, are you tracking how many of them are moving forward with treatment? And Kate, I feel for you, like in oral surgery, it's like, it is a one shot.
Yep. We get multiple opportunities to measure this every single day. We have on average between 5 and 15 new patients a day, and sometimes they need surgery, sometimes they don't. So we have a very narrow window of time to make that impression and develop the relationship. And then tracking, do they move forward with surgery, is something that we look at every single day for every single patient.
I also think that one key thing, though, people do, obviously, most people track case acceptance to some degree. But what they don't track is the timing, like Kate's kind of saying, like the timing of that acceptance. Because here's the deal. If you have $1.2 million, let's just say, of treatment, unclosed treatment or outstanding treatment on your books, if $900,000 of that is over a year old, that's pretty much dead treatment. So you're not necessarily going to convert that. So you have to look at that. And that's a metric I think a lot of people, even when they're purchasing practices, don't necessarily look at, right? Like if they're going in to look at, like, to buy a practice, they might be looking at what's sitting there on the books, but they're not looking at the age of what's sitting there on the books. So it's just a metric that is not utilized.
Well, you got to wonder why it's still sitting on the book, like, and for how long it was there. And so I think that's very smart to track that. But I also, like, if they're not scheduling, are you okay with tracking why? Like, because I think it's very painful to pull back the curtain and realize, like, okay, maybe we are doing something that's keeping people from scheduling. So I think being brave enough to ask the question of what stopped you from moving forward, could we ask a sensitive question of you? Would you mind sharing why? I think a lot of offices don't, I don't know if they're ready for that, but man, you can learn so much when you do ask those hard questions.
Well, yeah, you can. And I have an office that's doing that really well right now, but it took a while to get them to, like you said, brave enough to ask the question. And then we're taking that data and we're reporting back to the doctor the next week on his case presentation from the week before. So Angela didn't move forward because she said, money, you were a jerk, you didn't answer her questions, whatever it is, to help us get better at, where did we miss the mark? What did we not give them enough of to help them say yes?
Angela, I love that you said that, because a few years ago, I was working with a practice and there were a few surgeons, and one had just this really engaging, dynamic personality. He could connect with anybody very, very easily. And one of the other surgeons he's like a big bear. I mean, he's just the nicest guy that you can possibly imagine, but love the nitty gritty details. And when
Yes.
we broke down the conversion rates by doctor, the doctor that had the more engaging personality was the one that was closing. Well, his treatment plans close more often. And so when I evaluated this, I realized that the doctor that was giving too many details, he was losing the patients. Like, he would explain the surgery, and then it was way too deep and way too much. And so we said, okay, bring it back up. We need you at like 10.
Yes. Reel it in a little bit.
Less.
Night and day for him, night and day. And so I think there's something there for practices that happen to be listening that are multi-doctors. Look to see, are all of your doctors converting at about the same rate? And if no, start asking questions about why.
Yeah, get curious. That's what I always tell my team. Let's just get curious and ask some more questions.
When we track it, we're tracking it not only by the doctor, we also track it by referral source as well. So we know where, if it's like who referred that patient or how did that patient find us? Is this a patient we're going to have to spend more time with? If we find them on Google versus we know Dr. Jones next door educates the patient so much into the chair before they're even here, what does that look like? And then it's also by who presented. Because if I've got an assistant or a hygienist that every single time they're involved, that case isn't closing, then we've got to figure out what's happening. There's something happening there. So there's several, it's not just like dollar for dollar of what.
No. Yeah, I love, like, who was the doctor, who was in there with them, who was the hygienist, and what's our success rate? Because that, again, it shows you those opportunities where someone might need more training. Where do they need more of?
Also,
The doctor.
which loops this back around to, there's another, I think, important metric that a lot of people do not track. And that is really, like, everybody tracks their hygiene production to see if their hygienist is productive, but they don't track the treatment amount that's presented that's actually closed out of the hygiene chair.
I do, yeah.
So if you've got a hygienist that might not be super duper productive, but she's filling a restorative chair by every single thing that's coming out of her chair. So when I have a hygienist who's maybe on that borderline of like, okay, like they're just meeting their numbers or they're just meeting their goals, I kind of have to look around for what else is it that they're bringing to the table, right? Like, they're bringing to the table the fact that they presented $40,000 out of their chair in the past 2 weeks, and 40,000 of it is now in the restorative chair.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of measure those things and I don't think a lot of people look at that. They're like,
You are so right.
Number out of the chair.
Yeah, I've had doctors get frustrated. Like, she doesn't, she's only doing $900 a day or $1,000 a day. And I said, but time out. Have you looked at what is presented out of her room and how much case acceptance she gets?
Right.
No. Let's look at that. Boy, that shut them down real quick. Great. Doing great. Never mind. Leave her alone. She's filling my schedule. Then you look at the other ones. It's like, well, why aren't they doing it? Great question. But you're
sometimes if you think about it too, hygienists sometimes might be really busy producing. They might be
producing,
LDR and all these other things. And they're so busy producing, they don't have as much time to talk about treatment. But the one who has more time to talk about treatment and people trust her.
Yeah. They're converting it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that.
Or him.
Or him. Yeah.
Didn't mean to be sexist there. Sexy, but not sexist.
A good goal to strive.
Let's talk about, as we get a little closer to the end here, let's talk about open time in the schedule and like time to schedule, like how many days. Like, I guess what I want to say is I want my front office team members, my administrative team members, when a new patient calls, I want them to know when is the next new patient available appointment. I don't want them hold on and then they're flipping through the schedule for like ever. Or if a patient comes out for the day, like how quickly can we get them in? And Beverly, I think you had a great thing that you said you were tracking, or how you track it.
Yeah, I mean, we basically have a system. I mean, I think that really is more of a systems thing versus a tracking thing. It's like if they can't get them in within 7 days, then they have to come to me and we have to figure out a game plan. But we do also identify, obviously we're a perio, so we don't have a lot of emergencies. You know, perio is usually not a big emergency situation. But when I worked with a lot of general offices or in general offices that I've managed before, it's always identified to at your morning huddle. You know, what is your next available opening for hygiene? What is your next available opening for your new patient? What is your next thing? And identify it right then and there. Then nobody's scrambling and questioning. You know what I mean? Or when do you want to see an emergency? Like today, like in this schedule where it looks like, you know, a craziness. Where can you fit in oral surgery? You guys probably see a lot more emergencies, Kate, but where do you want to put? You know, and then you also, it eases everybody later in the day where they're not all pissed off at you because you stuck a patient right smack in the middle of lunch or whatever.
Yeah. We don't ever want an assistant that's like ready to go home to go see their kids. And you're like, oh, but wait, there's more.
You stay.
I really like that idea, Beverly, of keeping in touch. But some of these reports, dashboards, depends on your software. Like even some of the imaging software that's out there now can tell you like, hey, based on your image, here's some outstanding work that could be done same day and your doctor has an opening. Like that's next level where they can pretty much prompt you. But I think it is the job of a receptionist to know when the next openings are. Like they should know that schedule inside out, and then hygienists too. But what always amazed me though was doctors who were so busy. You know, restorative was very busy. They had new patient blocks and they would tell patients, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And then like nothing available. Like you just told them how bad this is and then there's nothing. So man, scheduling is an art. It really is, like knowing the schedule and working it well.
My doctor is famous for that. He'll be like, really need a crown like sooner rather than later. And then he goes, what do you mean I don't have anything for 4 weeks or whatever? I'm like, what are you doing to me?
Doctors can increase that urgency or slow it down. And that's why knowing where those openings are is critical at morning huddle. So doc, we don't have anything for 3 weeks for a major. So when you
control
check
yourself
in hygiene, just tell them, let's get you on the schedule in the next 3 to 5 weeks. Like they can, because that's the only thing that the patient hears at that time. No, he said 3 to 5 weeks. So boom. If he says this week, that's the only thing they hear. He or she says this week. I don't have anything this week.
Can all y'all come into my office tomorrow morning and tell this to Karl Smith? Because
Is Karl doing the same thing that
Karl's famous for just moving. He'll just move something over. Like, oh, and I'm like, you cannot move that like without telling someone that you actually moved.
Yeah. One person
in another chair, and I'm like,
did you take away your software rights for him to do that? Like,
I think he's only got like a level 2 or something. Level.
That's so fun.
No, we're kidding. That's not what you do to doctors. We're kidding about that.
We just do it in Beverly's office.
Just Karl. But they can help fill the schedule.
Yeah.
And by what they say, chair side. And if they are paying attention and they know when those openings are, and that's where you're putting them.
Yeah.
Oblivious to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, but hopefully you have to have a regularly scheduled meeting, like a morning huddle, midday huddle, whatever.
Something.
In order to do that. So, I mean, I know some offices work really well and don't have these meetings. They tell me that they work really well. I'm just like, I don't know. I've got to see it live. I just can't imagine like winging it as a whole.
Me neither.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I think this was fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. There'll be like all the links to get in touch with everybody in the show notes. And if you really want us to do this again with Malika, of course, like make comments. Like we would love to hear your feedback if you really enjoyed this. And if you really, really enjoyed it and you want to see us in person, Teresa has something to share with you.
So we're having 3 days in Denver of different groups and different educational sessions. So the the whole 3 days kicks off with Beverly's Dental Spouses in Business. So if you know a spouse, you can join her group, which is amazing. It's for spouses only, no dentists, right? Like, but dentists can come to the
No,
meeting.
dentists and spouses will come to the.
Okay. So she's going to have a live event in Denver right next to the.
Or with them, right? Come alone. They can come alone or with their spouse.
But this is not for you to go find a dentist to marry. I just want to be very clear about it, right? So
Beverly should start that.
yeah, that should be there's your
Different
next-
group entirely.
next revenue source.
Group in the works.
So she's having a full day for her dental spouses in business on Friday, September 25th. I will be hosting these lovely ladies plus Malika for our practice management power day. And that's for experienced managers and doctors. And I think all of us, we really love teaching newbies. We have a special place in our heart for newbies, but all of us have been hearing, okay, we've been doing this a long time. Can we just have CE that's for experienced people? Like, I want to kick it up a notch. And that's what this day is for. And then Saturday will be Dental Revenue Network, which is my membership for billers and billing company owners. We're going to have DRN Members Day on Saturday. So some of you qualify for all of it. Some of you might just be interested in one of the events, but I know we would all love to meet you in Denver, September 24th to 26th. Early bird available till July 4th. But maybe I think all of us are going to have special codes for after early bird too, but early bird will be the lowest, but I think we'll all have some secret sauce codes. And I'm sorry, you can go to practicemanagementpowerday.com to find out more. Sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll be seeing our faces all over social media in the coming months, just promoting it because we're so excited for this. We have so much fun when we have our time together, but we're going to have even more fun when we're in person together.
Sure.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Accelerate Your Dental Practice. To learn more about your hosts and explore consulting services tailored to your practice, visit affinitymanagement.co for Michelle Afato and zardentalconsulting.com for Malika Azargun. Be sure to follow, rate, and share the podcast. And join us next time for more tools, tips, and strategies to help you accelerate your dental practice.